last thing we're going to look at is grammatical range and structure. Grammatical structure refers to your sentence structure. First of all, are your sentences written in proper English sentence structure? Secondly, what types of sentences are you writing? Are you writing simple sentences every time? Or are you mixing it up with simple and complex sentences? You'll want to watch our separate course on sentence structure, but let me explain what you need to know for your IELTS exam specifically. There are different types of sentences. Most importantly, simple sentences, complex sentences, compound sentences, and compound complex sentences. I'm going to give you an example of each one of these types of sentences, then you'll be able to recognize how we used a mixture of them throughout our paper. An example of a simple sentence is, large food companies add sugar to many of the foods that we eat. An example of a complex sentence is, large food companies add sugar to many of the foods that we eat, which causes many problems. An example of a compound sentence is, many people today have become addicted to sugar because large food companies add sugar to many of the foods that we eat. And now for the big one, a compound complex sentence would be something like, large food companies add sugar to many of the foods that we eat, and as a result, many people today have become addicted to it, causing them to overeat and become obese. Now, that example we just used for a compound complex was basically pulled straight out of sentence 2 of paragraph 2. If we look at our very first sentence, we can find an example of a simple sentence. It is a commonly held position that it is the government's obligation to combat obesity. And then our very next sentence is actually a complex sentence. I completely agree that it is the government's duty to work to reduce obesity because only they have sufficient means to effectively tackle the primary causes. Reading through the paper, we don't have any compound sentences, but that's okay because all of them that could have been are actually compound complex. And I think if we reworded them, they wouldn't sound as good. The most important thing regarding our grammatical range and structure is that we have shown the ability to write in simple and more complex sentence structures. And we used them appropriately throughout the paper. What you'll want to do is study the different types of sentence structures and get used to writing more compound and compound complex sentences. Try to focus on changing run-on sentences to logical, grammatically correct, compound sentences, and you will get far more points than when you overuse simple sentences or use poor grammar with run-ons. However, a word of caution here. This should be one of the last things you focus on. Above all else, remember, clarity over intelligence. Make sure you can make an argument and explain it well with good vocabulary first. Then you can focus on improving your grammatical range. Once you get comfortable, try to get 2 compound complex sentences into each paper you write. This should be a good challenge to start.